Here we are again with a fabulous human. We're just having human-to-human conversations. So, Yasmilde, and I see it says Dr. Yasmilde, but we're going to the human, so I'm going to invite you, Yasmilde, to take us beyond the squeeze. Some form of transformation or something that really did move you in a new trajectory of your life. So let's talk self-awareness and just jump right in.
Hello, everybody. This is exciting to get stripped out of everything. Okay, one squeeze is a tough one because I've had many and recently even. So I think the biggest squeezes in my life have been those that challenge the way I see myself. And so actually I'm gonna get that one. You mentioned the doctor thing, right? And actually that's something it is because of my degree, but it took me about 7 years after that to actually start using it. And I think it was because going through the squeeze of the science at the same time that I was discovering my spiritual side, that was finally started to come out of me, freely. A tug of war happened inside of me for quite a while. It's just things started to challenge the way that I have been defining myself as a scientist for 30 years at that time. And so a lot of confusion came through saying, okay, well, now who am I? Am I this? How do I merge? What does it mean that I have these spiritual vibes, interests, needs actually became at some point. How do I merge that? And if it actually possible to merge that side of me and the scientific side of me. And then I started to work with energy and all of those things. And then spirituality in one of its, forms, brought me into practicing a religion. And regardless of any kind of dogma or how the religion looks like to anybody, the part of it that struck me the most was um, how emotionally engaged I was in it. It felt like I had, come home. And all of those things, science have been, the love of my life. And these things felt so genuine, so needed, so honest, that brought me to a period of my life where it was actually a struggle to know, what did I go wrong somewhere? Where do I approach life differently? What is happening inside of me? What is actually gonna come out of all of this? The need to explain things is in the science thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that has been one of many, but I think one that has been, fundamental to the changes in my life in the last 10 years.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. That was right. And I think this is a beautiful way for people that are listening to understand there's so much. We're not just this one little thing that's going on, right? And how do we move through this and navigate it? Now, you said a bunch of things, so I'm gonna just kind of do a quick, really to talk about a few things. One around, how did you rectify, I guess, that identity, right? And let's talk about, and maybe we'll start there first, and then I'll add to the next part. So yeah,
I think one of the things that helped me the most was one, the people that started showing up in my life at that point. I had a mentor of sorts that had spearheaded, let's put it that way, my discovery through energy and my healing capabilities, and even exploring things about myself that I haven't visited in a gazillion amount of times. Here, referring specifically to my childhood and how was that relevant at all at that point. And so having a person that would allow me to, talk about these things, to have a shoulder of a person that not only could listen, but would actually work energy with me and allow me to move through the process in a human way, right? That helped because on my own, my tendencies at that point could be to, tough it up, right?
And do what's right.
Exactly. And that wasn't what was needed. So that definitely helped, having that person. Exactly around that time, I discovered meditation. And I think that that saved me in a big way. And I'm pretty sure that everybody listening to this have heard about the benefits of meditation plenty of times. So I'm not gonna go there. But in my specific case, I think the biggest impact at first was because it allowed me to be patient with myself. And I remember that at some point when I was talking about this with a friend, and I was talking about these three parts of me: the healer, the healer, and the spiritual side of things, and the energy work, the scientist, and the religious practitioner, or put it somehow. We're all pulling somehow my energy. The person asked me, so how did you put them together? And I realized at that moment that I didn't do anything. What actually helped me the most in that situation was to take a step back, to refrain myself from doing. And I think what helped me do that was meditation, because I found that space where you can observe what's happening to you, the way that you're behaving, the things that you're feeling, the things that you're thinking, and be patient. At that point, it was out of intuition. So those two things combined, this person that could be there for me, even if she didn't have specific answers, or that, I don't think that was the intention of that interaction, right? So having that shoulder, that love that was coming from her, and the patience that meditation was giving me, I think allow me to live through the experience until one day I realized that it had happened, that all of that had come together, and I was just a new me, right? Without denying any of those parts.
Right. So you just change your name. You didn't need to call all this other stuff and figure it out. And I think it's something, because this is all about self-awareness. So I'm going to even just, I might bring back the other question that I had. But what does self-awareness mean to you? Because it means something very different to everyone, right? So curious, right? And as I'm asking the doctor, or just Yasmilde, anybody drop what does self-awareness mean to you? But I'm curious, because we do all have our perspective.
That's a great question, because when I was a teenager, I was a master journalist. And I was
As in journalingist?
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
As in journaling what I was feeling and I was thinking and all of that. I'm talking about when I was 11, 12, 13 at that point. And so I was convinced by the time that I was 15 that I was super self-aware, meaning that I was conscious of most of the emotions that I had and where they were coming from and the thoughts that would lead me to and why I thought the way I thought and the decisions that I would take. I mean, I was there when I was 15. And I'm laughing because
here's a giggle.
life taught me better. So self-awareness have a lot of layers from what I've discovered. It's not that it wasn't true what I just said. I was at the level that I could. I was super self-aware when I was 15. Later on, though, when we experience life in so many different ways, things happen to us, challenges, and we discover the way we react to things in a bigger range of circumstances. I realized then that it wasn't only on the mind, that the awareness that I thought I had of my emotions, for example, were 100% affected by the way that I was thinking, and vice versa. So there was a close relationship between the two, and because of that, I was biased in my self-awareness. It took a lot of living. Yeah, it took a lot of living to realize that being self-aware can only approach, that would be a Spanish thing, can only get closer to the real deal as much as we can observe ourselves without being trapped by our emotions or our thoughts or our energy, because then now I know there are those three things. So we are so multifaceted that, and the brain is such a sucker for broad focuses, that awareness, the level of awareness we have of ourselves, I think can only be triggered by our intention to be 100% vulnerable, honest, present to ourselves. So today I know that my energy state challenges my awareness. And sometimes I don't notice what things are happening if I don't make a conscious intention to be present to my own energy experience. Right? The same is true for my emotions and my thoughts. What I have experienced on my own and with clients and friends and family members is that the more that you go through the process, the better you become at it. The shortest is the time where you become, when you stay, in unconsciousness, where you don't really realize what you're doing, and we're just reacting to things, right? So if I take all of that and put it in a short thing, to me, awareness is a combination of intention and presence, so that you can be conscious of what is happening inside of you.
And happening outside. I'm going to add that, just from the, you've said it up, of course, and this isn't, it's just when I hear it, because I want to try to frame some things for people that are listening, and again, whatever comes up, it's You talked about the emotions and, as we move through, because we're a process, and it was the toughen it up and the success and all of these things, and where we're repressing them so much and then reacting, right? Because until we do go through enough of that, and I say enough for each of us, again, based on, because like you, I have an intention that I want to keep and shift things so that I continue to now see myself moving. We're in such a world right now, and regardless who's listening, we're moving through so much, and the presence that you speak of is, yes, for you, and that while you're with other people. Right. So how do you help somebody, or let's just talk about it. How do you do that because challenge is great. You had a 10-year span. Let's talk to people who are like, oh my God, this thing's sitting on my lap right here, lady. I had 10 years, for God's sakes. Right. So just what do you do in that situation? Like, because we need some practical and I'm not saying what you haven't shared is practical, but something practical that, oh my gosh, whatever it is, right? So scenario, you have a family, you have a partner, a son, right? So use it with a client, you're walking down the street, the car. What do people do? What are you doing to keep that presence and everything that's going on around you in a space?
I think one of the most mind-blowingly transformative practices that I ever adopted that helps me every single day at every single squeeze is learn how to breathe.
Let's do that. No, but let's do that right now, everybody, because you're right. We're talking here. It's like, take a breath. Yes, yes, yes. 100%.
Exactly. Because I noticed that I realized it when I started doing it was actually through yoga. Mm-hmm. Yoga, I used to say yoga saved my life at some point in my life because it taught me a different way of breathing. What needed to become intentional was to bring that into the rest of my living and not leaving it in the, 1.5 hours of practice, but use it all along the day. And the difference was so staggering because I have experienced that many times with myself and with the people that I have helped. Just the first thing is take a breath, because even when you do it because you want to, when you bring consciousness into the conscious mind, not conscious, different things. When you bring the conscious mind to a breath, the way you breathe, that's the first step towards becoming the observer of whatever is happening. That is when you can actually go ahead and say, okay, is this mine? Is this person? Is this really what I'm feeling right now? Or is it a reaction to something that happened to me 20 years ago? And I'm still living it inside of me, right? Is this something I'm working on? Is this a new thing? Or is this a new aspect of something that so that space is where things, your inner process and the process of the interaction that you're having, whichever it is, reveals itself to you. Number one, take a deep breath. And it is interesting because I have had to learn on my own and through my clients that we can actually also bring the controlling tendencies into the breathing. It takes some time. Yeah, it takes some time to release yourself to it. Right? And that's the kind of breath I'm talking about.
Yeah, because, and we know, and not that others don't, but yeah, the world's not breathing right now, which is part of the challenge, right? We're stressed and people aren't breathing properly. When we say that, it's like, you need to use the whole of your body, your belly, your being. This whole piece is this vessel that you're using, right? So now you've chuckled along the way, thank you, and smiled because that's great. As have I. I think it's, maybe just frame it because the whole space of this is, what is the laughter? beyond? Like, where do you find this laughter beyond the squeeze? Because, right, we're squeezed. And I've said, and why I created this is the after effect, so to speak, and even the during effect. So just give us give us something that at least, and how do you navigate that? What's the giggle? What's the growth? What's going on?
So I laugh because as hard as many of the squeezes have been, as emotionally harrowing at some points and really exhausting energetically and all of that, and me, as much as many other people have landed in pretty dark moments, right, during the challenges. The thing that always brings me back to the giggle is because at that point, after going through so many of them, now I do it. Now I go through them because I know I intended them. I came to a point in my life where I realized that I either needed to let go of challenges and conform and to have a life of stability and comfort and those kind of things, and familiarity most of all, or go through a route of growth, challenge, evolution, moving, doing things, and and that could imply going through those moments. And so when I did the tally, I realized that to me, only the second one is equivalent to living. And so I realized that I'm going through squeezes because I want to. I prefer that. And so what brings always the smile to my face and the positivity into the whole thing is, if I am in a squeeze, I'm growing. I'm moving forward. I'm evolving. And that's awesome. That's what I want.
And not to keep this too much longer, because you've opened up a whole nother can of worms for people, which I understand it. But for those that, so let's just maybe recap really quickly. For those that are living through a squeeze, right? You sit likely in two spaces. One, which is, I'm sitting in this comfort zone. I'm finally at this place where I feel, oh my God, some kind of relief, right? Or you're like, hey, we need to, like you said, I need to keep living life. It's going to take me where it's going to take me. And if I fight it, I'm fighting me. And I think that comes back to what's our bodies here to do. And right. And so wherever you are, I'm curious, just drop, you know what? No, I want the comfort zone, or right. Cause again, I know that comfort zone far too well. And I also know the squeezes, and I laugh because I laugh at myself, with myself so much. I mean, I was always a laughy person, and I know, and at some point I will put a video up or something around what it's doing to our chemistry. We need that, right? The body loves that we giggle. Our whole being, our skin, our smile, our aura, our projection, right? And from a frame of not just radiating, pushing out the positivity. It's the, oh my God, this is all of me, right? Like there's ups, there's downs, right? Yeah. So
exactly. So right, the way you said, which we both say it, right? After someone that we heard it from, is that, yeah, we're here for all of it. The good, the bad, the thing, the happy, the not so happy, because it all have a meaning.
And wherever you are on your journey, and if you're unsure about that, again, ask, reach out. It's all good. Wherever you are on your journey, it is all good. I think that's the greatest thing. And know that the squeezes are there to give you that space to just be more self-aware. What's going on with me, right? Bring it back to yourself and discover what's important for you and where you are on your journey. Because you're not a destination. You're here for you're here for a while. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
Love this.
That's good. Very good. Well, that's another episode, and I'm just going to invite everybody, as I always do, to keep giggling, keep growing, and keep shining bright, because we need that in this world. And we'll see you on another episode. Take care.